you've got.
This is the meeting of the Town of Star Valley Ranch Water Utility Board on April 23rd, 2026 at 4:30 p.m. We'll call the meeting to order. In attendance, it's myself, Steve Crandall, the chairman, Lee Hansen, a member of the board, Frank Young, I believe a member on Zoom, Boyd Sidaway is here in the room, and Daniel Stewart is here in the room. All are present and accounted for. Our advisor, Dave Roberts, is here. Mayor Rock is here without her dog. Councilman Bitter will be here, he said probably close to 5 p.m. We have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
We have a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, saw the thumbs up from Frank. We have a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting held on March 26th.
I have some questions.
Okay,
I'm sorry I didn't get them to you, but I got a little bit late. I guess I was interested in the memo written about Prater tanks. Our main pumps were never designed to pump up to Prater. They pump into the distribution system that either feeds homes or fills Green Canyon. And so I'm just curious who wrote this and because I think it's got some errors in it with regard to our original water plan of supplying the town with water.
I'm not sure who wrote it. It was given to us by Town Administrator Aitken.
It came from Ryan.
This came from
Welling.
Ryan.
Yes.
Okay.
Point of order question. Can we prove the minutes excluding that?
Why would you want to do that? I'm just.
Because I think we need to have further explanation as to what it says, because if you really read it, and I'm not a good reader, but when I read it, I couldn't understand what it meant. It doesn't fit anything it doesn't fit a lot of the things in the history of what we thought we were buying when we put this thing in. So
Okay.
we need to have that clarified, I think, before because when we approve the minutes, don't we approve the document as well?
Yeah.
Well, the document was presented prior to the meeting and made part of a meeting, so I think the
It should be.
document as it stands, we can approve that this is what happened in the meeting. If we have questions about it, I think we could cover that in other meetings.
You want to just defer it then till next meeting before we approve it?
It's basically was part of the meeting, so.
Should do it then.
Yeah, and I had a couple other questions, one on follow-up, but there's a statement that Mr. Atkins stated the effects of wastewater on the town and annex development is still under discussion. I really don't know what that means, whether it means that we're going to resolve something before we
I think
go forward, or?
I think what he was saying was that if there's water issues with the annexed property, we will be brought into the discussion since we are so close. That if they point the finger at them, they may point forward at us.
There's one point.
You want me to clarify that?
Well, if that's what it means, I guess it leaves you hanging in the minutes as to nothing was resolved. And
Well, it was just a
Comfortable with that.
presentation of the scenario.
yeah,
There's nothing really to be resolved there. It's said, I think there were talking about the wells that they drill to monitor
The
And-
UIC
Yeah,
system.
and so, they were saying, if those monitors, show positive, things, then, we may be brought into it since we're so close.
Yeah.
Everybody already points the finger at us.
But the problem is that nitrates show up about 10, 15 years later because they sit there and build and build and build. And so if you don't do anything about them, then they'll migrate and then finally they'll pick it up. But to me, that impacts the whole question of annexation, so
Okay, I'll clarify that.
if you would, that'd be good. And then we gotta figure out this. And I I clicked on that little
Did it-
decal,
did it give you the
whatever,
map?
it never did open.
I had to click twice.
Clicked a lot, all around it and trying to make it open.
Yeah,
I don't know whether anybody else had that trouble, but,
yeah,
anyway, it didn't do that, but the whole notion of Green Canyon was that it supplies maybe 2/3 of the town, and Crater Canyon supplies maybe 1/3. And this made it sound like, no, that's not the way it was supposed to be, that everything's supposed to be supplied by Crater, and that's not the way, at least in the history of the town, that it's supposed to
so I don't
be.
know the origin of this, whether this was in response to a question about, our question about why it's being distributed out of Prater, or if this is something previous. Doesn't seem to be a date on it.
Can I make a recommendation based on what we're discussing right now, that we invite Ryan back to our meeting one time, because most of our issues are misunderstanding on our part, apparently, that they're not doing the things the way they used to, and so we don't have anything current as to what's going on. So how can we make any kind of advice or counsel or input if we don't know what's going on the way it's going on today? Because the questions Lee's got are the same ones I had when I look at this thing. Is we're envisioning one thing because somebody tells us, and then the next thing they tell us, no, that's not the way it is, it's this way.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of tough to decide where your advice should come from.
And the interesting thing is, Forrest Grid designed it.
Well, yeah, but it was a different Forrest Gump individual. but that-
Yeah, a different
the model
Forrest
is
Grid
the same.
individual, but he nevertheless, Ryan should be able to
Look at
get a hold of all of the original information that came from Forrest Grid to begin with.
He ought to have better access than I have.
Have the pumping capacities changed at all on the wells?
No, everything was designed for full build-out. And the capacity was designed around 7,500 to 8,000 gallons per connection per month.
Oh.
So all those things, well, we don't know because we don't have any data on the
Well,
current flows. But
If it was
if those,
designed for full build-out, and we're only at halfway, there's gonna be more water going,
somewhere.
and it's probably going to Prater Tank,
Yeah.
not just Green Canyon, that's
Yeah.
why.
Well, yeah.
So we oughta, I mean,
But we do need some facts and figures. Maybe
we
this.
can ask Ryan
Yeah,
that.
maybe the news data will tell us something along that line as to what we're doing. Because we may be basing all this on wrong data. Anyway,
So do we want to,
So let's table it or something.
postpone approval of the minutes until we get a clarification on some of these things?
I go with that. So moved.
Yeah.
We'll
Second.
do that. Well, we need to vote
Or do
on
we need to
postpone.
vote on it?
Okay. Okay, updating questions with council liaison. Anything new on SCADA, Rue?
I do have a couple things. Okay. So I don't have much for you as far as SCADA reports yet, because we're still working on, developing how some of those reports are gonna look, and there's still a lot of information that we still need to get into the SCADA system as far as with the flow meters. All of the large flow meters have been installed, and everything's working great. There's the one over this pump house over here, well number 3, that we're having an issue still getting it online and getting that data into the system, because right now, if I understood properly from Trevor, we're getting, it's reporting negative flows right now from after the installation of that new meter, so that's
Keep
kind
it
of not
running,
good.
fill on the aquifer.
As long as somebody's paying for it.
Right, and we did have, oh, go ahead, Lee.
Can you said all of the large meters have been installed.
Mhm.
I'm still unclear, I know we got one on, or we have one on each pump and on the spring,
Mhm.
and the spring was faulty, I don't know whether that's been
That's,
fixed.
it's fixed,
That's
yep.
been fixed,
Mhm.
but you're saying number 3 is still bad.
Right,
But we had, that's 4, where did the other 2 go? Do we not have a meter on the transfer line from Green up to Prater?
I believe-
Or the reverse flow when there's too much in Prater to come back and fill Green?
I
We
think
used
there's
to
one
have
out of
a
Green
double-
Canyon, but
double meter there.
I'll have to double check, because I don't remember where the other ones went. I feel like there is one on Green Canyon, but let me take that back and just confirm definitely all the pumps and at the spring, or I should say the well houses, but I'm not quite sure where the other one is, so.
Because they were talking that the other 2 went on the overflows of Prater and of Green. And that, I know that the mag flow meter needs a full pipe, and you can have a trickle of an overflow to a lot of an overflow, and I just wondered how a mag flow meter would work on an overflow. But you say they've been installed.
Yep. And it's just that one over
Okay,
here that needs to get
So
working.
where are the other 2?
I'll confirm that for you, I can't tell you right now.
Thank you.
I don't want to provide information that's incorrect, so I'll
Okay.
confirm that.
Let's get good information there.
Hold on a second. Okey doke. What else do I have to tell you about SCADA?
Is there a date when they'll have that all squared away?
We had someone from Core Maine was here today helping us work through whatever the reporting or not reporting issue is on the well number 3. So I don't have a date yet, but they're actively helping us troubleshoot what the problem is there. We had some issues on, at one of the other, I don't know if it was at the spring or one of the other well houses, with what was described to me as a scaling issue, as far as that the meter, I guess it can be set to different levels, and so that wasn't scaled properly, and once that got fixed, everything was working fine. But apparently whatever's going on at well number 3 is not a scaling issue, so, because they tried that already.
That well was working, can I say perfectly, prior to us trying to change the meters.
Oh, I don't know that either, I can,
You know, because we had so much trouble, what was it, 2 years ago, getting it just to come online.
okay.
And I don't know how many people worked on it, you know, so there was no one person that started with the problem and finished it. I'm wondering if there was something in that area
I don't know.
that is causing it. You'd think, well, if it pumps and you got a meter on it, that ought to read it. You'd think.
Yeah, one meter shouldn't have any effect on the pump working.
Or the pump on it,
Should
other than
Yeah.
passing water pipe.
One other question was that we asked if they read the old meter prior to putting the new meter on, and then compared it to the new reading for hee-haw test, whether it was way off or not off, or...
Yeah, I don't believe that was done, so,
So we'll
but
never- we'll
again,
never
I
know
can
that.
confirm that, but I'm pretty sure that was
So
not
we'll never
done.
know.
In terms of the flow rate?
Yeah,
So,
Yeah, we just to have a spot, you know,
because we've got a lot of old data that use the old meters, and in fact, Ryan's master water plan, was derived using that data. And so if it was way off, then all of his assumptions and calculations may also be invalid.
Well, I mean, my expectation would be, since this is essentially a rebaselining of the entire, the meters within the water system, that we would be having him redo those calculations regardless. I mean,
Okay,
Good idea.
yeah,
Because we're
definitely.
gonna, I mean, that's the way I think of it, and when we talk a little bit here about what we're finding with the residential meter replacement, he's gonna have to redo the
Well, yeah,
calculations.
that's the next step is those.
Right,
Yeah, because he used that data to develop the maximum daily demand and the average daily demand and
right,
the hourly, whatever.
Because we know now that at Boy's house, it used to be 8,000 gallons a day, but now it's 20,000.
They put the meter in backwards.
Long showers there,
Wow.
buddy.
Yeah, right. I hope that's not true.
so do you want me to go ahead and talk about the residential meter,
Yep.
what we know? I have a lot more about that for you. I'm gonna summarize what I have here. Let's see here. So as of today, we have 141 new residential meters that have been installed. So that's all of plats 4, 21, 19, and 11, and part of 18, which have been finished, so not all of 18. Now, the thing that's been happening since they really got going with these residential meter installation is that we've been coming across a lot of issues on, I'll call it the back end, the billing and the account portion. And I'm gonna read you some of the things that we've discovered. For example, 458 Butte Road was not correctly added to our billing list when the meter was installed. So the resident has been paying the service availability fee and not the residential meter lot fee or any water usage. The meter shows 2,915 gallons of unpaid water usage. That's just a little one. 95 Bonneville Road was not correctly added to our billing list when the meter is installed. The same scenario, just paying service availability fee. This meter shows over 1 million gallons of unpaid water usage. 45 Ponderosa Circle, same thing, meter showed over 51,000 gallons of unpaid water usage. 346 Bonneville Road had an address change in 2021. It was previously listed as 345 Bonneville. The information was not recorded correctly in our billing system, and the resident was only paying the service availability fee and not the residential fee or usage. This meter shows over 1.5 million gallons of water usage.
How can that happen?
Oh, here's
Because of
another
the
one.
address change.
So I guess the point being, what we've realized as the guys have started putting in the new residential meters is that we need to do a full audit of the
Yes.
accounting and the billing system in
Yes.
conjunction with that, because
Everything
we're
has to
finding so many
match.
mistakes.
Yes.
14 Ponderosa Circle has an old meter that reads over 30 million gallons of usage. It looks like someone in 2023 dropped the last 3 digits from the bill, so this meter is not accurately tracking information. Anyway, so there's some things that we're finding in the accounts that, when there was a usage issue, rather than someone going out and trying to figure out what it was, they just did a quick, pencil whip fix in the accounting system or in the billing system from the looks of it. So it's slowed down the installation of the residential water meter project, and I talked with Trevor today and Zach and told them speed is not of the essence here, accuracy is.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
we are not going to be getting initially they had a goal of trying to get all the meters installed by the beginning of July, but that's not going to happen. So plus we're not even going to receive all of the residential meters to get them in by then anyway. But I guess the biggest thing out of all that is, it looks like a lot of the water loss may be on the billing end, not necessarily on the meter end. Now, there have been some other things too.
There's only, you just said, what, about 3 or 4 of them over 1 million?
Yes.
That's half a month, that's a half a month's loss.
Let's see. We have also found one meter, and this is funny because you just said it, and we believe we will find more where the meter was installed backwards and was not tracking any water usage. So, yeah, a lot of things like that, and we're trying to be very diligent in having the guys document everything they're finding, and then I believe they're gonna start doing a daily huddle in the afternoon after, like, stop at 4 o'clock. The team comes in, sits down with, Jamie and Loretta and Zach, and they go through everything and make sure that just everything's getting taken care of and lined up. Because it's been a lot for the ladies downstairs just to try and unsort a lot of this stuff that they're coming across.
And she's new, right?
No, Jamie and Loretta have been here for a while. Oh,
Right.
we have a new billing clerk,
New
yes, we do
billing
have a new
clerk.
billing clerk. So
Yeah.
she hasn't actually started full-time yet. So in the meantime, it's been, Jamie and Loretta have been working through a lot of that.
I understand they can install 100 meters in a day.
They could, but they're not. So,
Can
again,
the
speed is
supply-
not of the essence after we've uncovered this, that's, I
Can
didn't
the
do the math,
supply
but
keep-
it's a
Can the
lot.
supply keep up with it?
I'm
Our
sorry.
supply of the meters, if they install that many?
Oh, no, I don't think so. So it's really not worth trying to press forward and get them all in the ground. Let's do it right and get
Sure.
everything fixed on the back end.
Sure.
Another update, just a little one, is this isn't really on your list, but I'm gonna pass it along anyway. So DEQ is supposed to do our first round of PFAS testing on Tuesday. Prior to the testing, the water department replaced all the sample ports at our sources because the material they contain may have PFAS. So I do have a document I can email you that Trevor also provided me that's just got a lot of PFAS information in it. I'm sure you've all probably read some of that.
They use,
Previously.
they use fire retardant over here at this building at all? Where the firehouse is?
I don't know what's stored over there as far as if it's just a water truck or if they have some other sort of,
It's PFAS, I mean, it's typically is where you're gonna have fire training
Right,
and fire
mhm.
stuff.
yeah,
I wouldn't expect any on the spring,
no.
maybe that well over there,
Mhm.
maybe this one.
We've got.
Have we done any PFAS testing prior to
No.
this?
So this is the new
Oh,
EPA
yeah.
regulation to do this, and the testing's pretty expensive, but DEQ, and I'm sure, Dan, you're familiar with this from
It's very
in
expensive.
Jackson, yeah. They're actually, I don't know if it's a grant program, but essentially DEQ is gonna pay for this for us, that's why they're coming to do it.
Good.
Let's see,
So, yes, ma'am, thank you.
So none of these residential,
Mayor and group, is there any plan to try to recover any of those lost funds, or are we just gonna move forward?
so I'm glad you asked that, Frank. So we are actually talking to the town attorney about that, and we're trying to, as we come across some of these, pretty egregious ones, I don't know, build a few different categories of ones where we know, obviously, we probably couldn't because the town put the meter in backwards or whatever it was. But if there are some that the attorney thinks maybe we have a shot at trying to recoup some of the money, he's taking a look at that. But he has not made any decision yet based on the information that we've given him so far.
and none of the customers fessed up?
Yeah, none of the customers fessed up, that's right.
Just a bit of history without any facts. But we put out, and I don't know if it was an ordinance, a resolution, or just a scare letter. But we did put out, and we gave everybody X amount of time that said, if you have a meter and we're not billing you, we will forgive everything if you'll just tell us. After which, we will charge you this amount of money.
Right.
Now, like I said, I have no idea where it is, how it was, or if somebody's taken that out too. I mean, it's been changed, so. But if you need some ordinance deal, it might be
Right.
worth the research.
Okay, I'll make a note of that, so. Let me see if I can remember everything. There's, I got a couple other little things here. So the staff is working on a grant, a water efficiency grant, that if we get the grant money, we would be able to integrate our PRVs into the SCADA system as well, so,
Wow, that'd be good.
yeah, so that's something we're trying.
Mayor, just one
Yes.
quick, let me go back to your last comment. I just had another brain idea. Maybe if you can't find what I just talked to you about, maybe sending the letter out and asking people or telling them that we're finding this, and if you'll come forward and tell us right now, we'll forgive me.
We'll give you a break.
Seriously, it might be worth it just to
Okay.
have that help for our water crew to know where to go look.
I made a note, so it's just, yeah, I've been pretty surprised at how many things we found that are wrong
That's
already at this
unbelievable.
point.
Yeah.
Does this also affect the HOA's issue?
I think we've gotten all that resolved now.
Do they think it?
I think so. We're gonna, I believe we still have to put a new meter over there. I mean, we replaced the meter
Right.
a few months ago anyway, but I believe we still need to put one of the newly purchased ones over there. So, and in the meantime, staff is just being extra careful, with their billing to make sure everything looks correct. We've actually put in all their water usage for the past 2 years into a graph so you can see it, and not just looking at numbers, so that if you put in this month's water usage and suddenly the bar chart is off the chart, then there may be a problem. And I just drafted a letter for them that they are, I guess they, in the past, former Mayor Byers provided a letter about water usage they could use for the DEQ.
Yeah, they need it for DEQ.
To keep them under their, 2,000 gallons a day?
Mhm.
So I just drafted that recently. I heard back from Tony, haven't heard back from the general manager yet, but, so I think we're okay so far, but we'll stay on that one. The last.
You mentioned the grant, I missed what it was. What's the water grant for?
It's to, I can't remember if it's a DEQ grant or the grant we're trying to apply to, but it would be to integrate the PRVs into the SCADA system. So,
That saves a lot of man hours.
and then the last item I had is the water department, we've got a couple of leak testers now, and in using one of the leak detection devices, they've already found a couple of small water leaks that were on the residential side. So I should have looked this up, but to tell you what kind of detector it was, but I can send that to you after the meeting.
Okay.
And apparently there's another one that's been purchased, but they don't have it yet, so. but it's-
Before or after our meters? The leaks?
It was on the you mean after like the residential meter install?
Yeah, after.
Oh, I don't know, he didn't tell me where those were, if it was as part
I
of
mean, I
that,
was wondering if it was metered or not.
So, but I think that's all the updates I have for you, and so I need to remember to send you.
Just one quick question on your finding leaks. Have you scrapped the idea totally of having some professional group come in and do the whole system?
I don't want to say we've scrapped it totally, but we went ahead, the council approved purchasing these leak detectors, so, and we did have some funding in the budget from this past year for leak detection, so we're gonna give that a whirl. Right now, I wouldn't say we're probably gonna bring anybody in, not until we get done with all the meters getting put in the ground and,
Get the billing.
and see where we are, yeah. So again, it's kind of a giant audit, not just the mechanical or the material side, but on the fiscal and the bookkeeping side, to get all that squared away and then see where we are. And yeah, definitely, we're gonna have to have Ryan relook at all his figures that he did a couple years ago. That's
Okay,
all I got.
thank you.
Good.
Councilman Bitter,
Just in the nick of time.
You're ready?
we're
Yes.
ready.
I stalled as long as I could.
We've been waiting for an hour.
I think everyone is aware that
I know you weren't waiting an hour.
I think everyone is aware that the water system has its own financial statements and its own budget, separate from the town's budget. So Councilman Bitter here is
Watch all
Here
these
to-
cords that kind of-
I just
Talk to us.
offered to come in and show you the model, how we build it out, so that you guys can ask your questions and be able to say, what are the assumptions that go in, understand how the department expenses kind of are built, and that way you can at least see it and understand, because there's a whole lot of detail, and if you send out a lot of detail, nobody's gonna look at it, unless you have a conversation beforehand and say, here's the detail. So what I'm gonna do is, I hope,
Trying
Is
to-
that that's the
Yes, that's, so
HDMI?
we have Zoom running.
Yeah,
Okay.
that should just,
I'm
well,
gonna cut Frank off.
no, I don't want to cut Frank off.
Bye, Frank.
Because, so this is plugged into,
That
Directly from
goes.
TV.
because we could, I know Frank couldn't see it, but I could go right to the TV
Mhm.
from here, and that's not going to cut him off.
Okay, that might be.
So everybody else can see it, and we can just describe it for Frank's case.
Oop, I should have my cursor.
That didn't look good.
So, and let me say that the key to the budget, as in, you know, how you would build it, is we take the expenses that we're incurring in the existing 12-month period of time and just saying, hey, unless there's a change, we're just gonna assume that there's a little inflationary factor that says it's gonna grow a little bit. But it's gonna be in the exact same kind of time periods when we're spending it this year. So you can kind of get a calendarization based upon history, rather than coming up with it from scratch. Okay, so that's kind of how we'll build this. I don't know how that's popped on there, but let's see here. Okay, so with the, and I know there's a lot of numbers, there's always numbers when you build a budget, but what I wanted to do is walk through the revenues first. Now, I don't know if that's big enough for you guys, so I can make it a little bigger here. Okay, and let's see if we
If
can
you go down to the month, I might be able to see it.
Okay, that's as good as I can get with all the columns. I could shrink it down to just be the total year number, but I do want you to kind of understand how this is laid out. So our revenue in the water side is made up of miscellaneous income, interest earned on our reserves. I'll explain this yellow one here in a minute. There's the flat usage fee, there's the base fee, there's the turn-off, turn-on fees, there's a service availability fee, system development fees, or tap-ons we call them, water project revenue or reserve, we'll talk about that in a minute, and then penalties for non-payments, okay, what we charge interest on. And then there's a line down here for grants. If we were to get any grants, it's going to be income coming into us to pay for some of the projects. So the total fund revenue is made up of these categories. And it's done by month. And again, like I said, I'm using the exact same numbers kind of that we had the year before and just kind of populated it on that basis with, in this case, a 2.5% CPI, Consumer Price Index, inflationary factor. Where I have a hard-coded number like 3.5%, I'm assuming that we're going to get 3.5% interest rate on our wild class funds. Okay? You can shoot holes in any of these assumptions. It's just the basis of how this is built up. Okay? And so you can kind of see that the key here is to understand our big items, which is going to be our usage, our base fee, and our service availability fee. There's also a wild card with how many tap-ons we're going to forecast. Now, we forecast 14 of them in here. Some may say, well, I think we're going to have more than that. And yeah, okay, if you're real good at gambling, I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to say 14 seems to be a good landing spot that the council, and the council has looked at this one time, just to give it kind of that first reading thumbs up. But if anybody's smarter than me, and we're using Scott's information to kind of drive those permits that we're getting,
That's 14 for the year.
that's 14 for the year, which would be from July, basically through September, because there's nothing in the winter time, and then usually pick up in April. Okay, and nobody's really gonna do a tap on as early as April. It's gonna be in late June before they get to that point usually. Okay, so it's really 4 to 5 months of tap-ons. Okay, at least history shows us that. I'm not making it up. I'm just going with what we've seen in the past. But you could easily increase your revenue by saying, "Hey, we're going to hit 20 this year," without doing a single thing in here. Okay, and you know it's $7,500 a tap-on. It's significant money.
Sure.
Okay, but just so you know, that 14. The 6850, I want to state here just so you know why 6850 has not changed in this first reading, and neither has the service availability fee. 2850. You're saying, why would we not just increase it the CPI? Well, this year, if you go down after the revenue and you take out all the expenses that we're forecasting in the departments, the water department will make about $115,000 of excess cash based on this revenue and based on the expenses that they're going to have. So they need to say, well, if we're making $115,000, should we be increasing these rates for a potential future reserve? It's a common thought process, right? Should we be saving for a rainy day? The issue that we had with the town council, it doesn't make sense to do it right now. We did it last year, we increased them both, and if it was, let's say, closer to break even, then yes. But that's the assumption we've used so far.
Where does the 115 go now? It'll go in the reserve?
It's going to go into the reserves, and if you wanted to see a sources and uses, it drops right down into the wild class accounts that we would use to pay for, specifically for the Prater Canyon delivery line, the additional expenses in future years.
Right, okay.
Okay? So again, that's how this is laid out. It just to give you a feel, kind of an executive summary, and we could go through every line item if you want. But here's a couple of things I wanted to point out. Number one, lost fees from transfer property. It's a new account for us this year. And you say, what is that? Well, in the past, when there was a transfer of a property, a sale of a property from one owner to another, if there were uncollected water fees, you used to get those from the closing, the title company closing documents. They would give the town a check. They're no longer doing that. So if there's any past fees that have not been collected, we're not going to be getting those. We're going to lose those unless we find a different way of collecting those. Okay, yes?
Why can't we collect those?
Yeah.
You can.
It's a debt that's owed and it's paid by the seller.
As long as you are proactive enough to be getting in that line and getting that paid before it transfers to the new owner. Because it's not part of the closing document.
Understand, but
Yes.
if you are,
You could.
if you have, and we've got somebody now, a clerk that is monitoring this, the real issue is not when they're gonna sell it. The issue is when they're behind. And if we're reviewing those
Okay.
people who are
Yes.
behind
Yes.
and doing a proactive collection on the behinders, we'll have liens on that property before they even think of selling.
If it is a delinquent account that is.
Well, it's gotta
is
be
in a red-
delinquent, or we're not gonna
But
lose
let's say
that.
there is one fee, $168.50 fee that was missed due to timing.
I understand that.
And if you look at it, we're only forecasting $100 a month.
I was gonna say, how frequent is this?
We're gonna find out because we've never had to experience this. We're just putting it as a new line item so that we can track it and say, let's put somebody on it or it's noise.
It may cost you $500 to collect $68.
No, but that was my next question.
But that's the point.
How much should we collect in?
We're actually spending money now just talking about it.
I know.
I want you to know, that's a change in the outside world that we're gonna have to
But we
adjust.
were so far behind on some of our collections. I
Yes,
mean, we're running 6 to 9 months delinquency,
yes.
especially in the vacant lots.
And
That's a
that-
lot of money.
That
That's
has
worth going
cleaned
after.
up considerably between the last couple of clerks. We have been able to get that down compared to what it was 3 years ago, which I've looked at all the history and gone, it's night and day difference. It's probably 20% of what it was then, so we still have some work to do, but you're always gonna have delinquencies,
No.
but it's way below
You
percent basis.
don't want to spend $10 to collect 5, but you surely don't want to give up $20 just because you weren't willing to look at it.
Correct. I'm just saying, we're gonna monitor this and see what it looks like. And as we are with the penalties and interest on the delinquent accounts, okay? Because again, that maybe isn't selling, but let's get those liens on there so they can't transfer until we get ours. We got it, okay?
So in last year's budget, what was the number?
We didn't have any of this because they were paying us. They have decided this year, no more, we're not going to do you a favor.
Okay. So we don't.
Which I don't understand,
We don't
but-
have a way to
No.
quantify that.
No. That's what I'm being told. I mean, we're in the meetings with Loretta, and that's kind of where the position is now. It could change, but right now, we're just putting it
If either one of those get out of hand, then we as users, we who are paying our bills on time, are going to have a rate increase to cover the money we're not collecting from the other people.
if it gets out of hand, and I don't
That's
think we'll
which I
get there. But
qualify.
to your point, we don't know what it's gonna be. And we're not gonna go any higher than $100 a month, because I don't want to have anything in there that's big enough until we know. Until we know, okay? So that gives you a feel here. I do want you to see here in this gray, and you guys don't have this, I'd be more than happy to send it to the water board, so you guys could sort through it and get an understanding of how this works,
Please do.
okay? But here's your lots, and you can see the lots are dropping, okay, as you go through the year because of those 14 tap-ons. And the metered lots are increasing accordingly, okay? So you'll always know how many, and here's the trick. It'll be real good once we get all these residential meters done, because we know we've been missing some.
Yeah.
So it's a matter now of truing that up, okay? So the other things I just wanted to point out is I am showing a usage fee increase, not a usage fee, a usage of water consumption because of our drier winter. The question becomes, are we going to use more water this year? Because who knows? I can't predict the weather. Nobody can. But there's a small increase at 2.5%. So if you took all of our water that we consumed last year, we're going to make this 2.5 up in just the bad meters. Okay? Oops, sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
fell asleep.
Yeah. But, come on. But that's why that 2.5% is in there. Again, it's off of this previous 12 months. So if you go to July of 2025, that was an actual number, and we've increased it 2.5%. Okay? As well as August, September, November, December. And then out here when we're into April, May, and June, those are the best estimates that we can go off of the year before.
So is that 2.5% for every month?
For every month.
Okay.
Just, and I think we're gonna,
We'll
we will find that we were missing at least that
We'll
much.
find that,
from
yeah,
what
we'll
we're finding
find
out.
that it'll be more in the summer and less in the winter.
You got it.
So
But let's,
you can have variable changes, is what I'm saying.
and if you look at 4 years of history that I have, it's variable all over the
Right.
place based on the weather conditions that we have. If we have a real wet June, guess what? It goes way down. But if we have a real dry, which we usually have in July and August and September that are drier, you can tell me what it's gonna be like.
Right, right.
I will go to Vegas tomorrow, okay? Because I don't know. But again, there's an assumption in there. All I can tell you, it's gonna be wrong, but we'll know how much it's
Right.
off, okay? The base fee, $68.50, has stayed the same. The turn-off fees, we haven't increased those. I've just gone with the actual amount of turn-ons that we have done on the ranch the previous 12 months. Same amount, same exact amount. Service available fees, $28.50. We're not changing that again. It's just based on history. And with the deduction of the number of lots.
Right.
Okay? Tap-ons, we talked about the 14. And I'm spending time on the revenue because this is really where, if we don't do a good job here, we have no idea what we're gonna spend, okay? So, or how much excess we're gonna have. 14, the water project reserve fee was something that we put together. I told Steve that I would put it in there and just see what it looked like. This was if you said we wanted to increase every single lot owner on the ranch $2 a month. The $68.50, take it up to $70.50, and take the $28.50 up to $30.50. $2, or you could put in any number there, but I put $2 in there for every single meter and lot. What would that generate for us as a town over a course of 12 months? It was $46,000.
Okay.
So that was the original cut we had in there. And so then, when we met as a council in our workshop, we said, because we're generating already 115,000, let's leave it out.
Yeah, okay.
Just so you know where that's coming from. But it's easy enough to just put in here. If we need it, that's kind of what we would want to do, is build in a reserve item instead of messing with the rates. So people know that $2 is for this. And we can put it into a reserve account. Okay. Does that make sense? Any questions?
Can you go to the bottom mentally, just really quick?
Okay, well, I was
Are
gonna,
our reserves going up or down this year?
they are going to go down because of the capital, because of the
Then why are
residential
we- Why
meters.
are we saying that we're making $150,000?
115,
115,000, when you ought to have a line item down there somewhere, I hope, that says deposits into reserves to replenish those reserves, so the utility is not making money.
and yes, it
We're
is making
We're
money.
making more money on our operational side of revenue versus expense.
Yes,
But we're not
true.
replacing the money we're spending on out of our reserves.
However, if you look at what a reserve is for, it's not for this year. It's for multiple years going out, saying, here is what my 10-year plan looks like.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
But you're going to expense the money going into, or expense, you're gonna take it out of the cash and set it in that reserve this year. Therefore, it should be reflected on this year's balance sheet, should it not?
Well, it is. It's in our sources and uses, and it goes into the reserve until there's a capital
Yeah.
project that pulls it out.
And I'm really talking to you more as a public relations, and that is,
Okay.
if I'm spending if I'm making 150,000, I want you to reduce my rate, because you're overcharging me. And I just caution you on your
And we wouldn't do it that way.
choice of words.
Yes. So when you look at the cash balances that we have in each of our, I think there's 5 key wild class accounts for water. If you look at all those, what we are now doing is tracking it by account. There's a sinking fund. We all know what that is. That's $500,000 we have to keep in there, in the system as a reserve. We really can't spend it until, who's the smartest man in the room that knows when we can spend that, or take that $500,000 and actually
When you
use
pay
it?
off your WDDC loan.
Correct. When the loan is gone, that's coming back. But we have to show it in there in an account. Today, we have 544,000 in it. Why? It's only supposed to be 500. So we need to move the interest that we've accrued the last couple of years and move it into a different account.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay? So the idea here is to have that sources and uses so that we can clearly see it. Now, the other one that's important is to have enough coverage for all of our principal and interest. $681,297, if I remember right. So we've got to have enough cash to say, for the next 12 months, I can pay all my debts. I have enough cash. And then what's left, after you do your debt and principal, and you have your sinking fund, the rest goes into capital. And as long as we have enough funds to cover our capital expenditures, the question is do we need to increase more reserves? I am not here to tell you whether you need to increase more reserves. However, I am here to say, if you had a major capital expenditure in the next couple of years, you would have to probably, that is unforeseen right now, you'd probably have to, there are 2 options. Increase reserves through a increased rate increase, or go get new debt. Now, the new debt you don't want to go so high in debt. We're already a municipality that has high debt. However, if you look at the next 10 years, 15 years, it drops off the map. It just basically crashes to 0. So the question is, in the next 10 years, what's it going to look like to us as that debt is extinguished and we have to go buy a new tank?
Or two.
Or 2, but let's just say it's $3 million in 2032, according to Ryan Welling. Let's just use his assumption. What does that do to our overall debt structure? 1.5 years it goes up, and then it falls well below where we are today. So again, the question becomes is, do we know of anything else that's going to be significant to us that we would need to set up a reserve today for? And this is what Steve and I have argued back and forth, back and forth. I go, I'm not opposed to it, but I just don't see it in the plans yet. Other than a tank, and if it's a big tank, I'm gonna go get debt.
Yeah, we have Ryan's 24 master plan.
Correct.
He's gonna do another one here probably in 27 or 28,
Yeah.
based on all this new metering and billing stuff.
Yeah.
And so we'll have a better sense there. We don't know if we have a PFAS problem yet.
Right.
That could be an
Yeah.
issue, so
And that
just
would be
all
a
these kinds of
critical
things might
factor.
come up, right?
But we don't have that yet.
Right, right.
So instead of saying to every homeowner out there, I'm gonna raise Katie's rates because I can, waiting on something to happen, I'd much rather say, let's treat the residents smart enough to
Sure.
just say, hold it right now. Because I think we'd all sign up if we knew what we were gonna buy or need it for. Right? Because we do have one of the most expensive water systems in the state, and it's paid for, you know, other than the debt structure.
Yeah.
It is new. It is as new as anybody has. So that's why we haven't increased these two rates. And we ended up taking that $2 extra because we said for $46,000, every time we raise the rates, the poor billing clerk downstairs gets it in from both barrels. So the question becomes, if we had a need, then we can educate people and say why. Right now, we don't see a need, but if it comes, then let's know how to deal with it, okay? And I have all of this information, and I can share it with you.
Yeah,
This says,
sure.
here's the tab on the debt, and when it falls off, and if you put $3 million in for 30 years at 5%, guess what? You can see it in that 2032, 2033, and then it drops off. So we have 2 years, and if we can't make up that difference of 100 grand, or it's actually less than, it's like 60,000 extra cash we need, we got bigger problems. So needless to say, I've spent a huge amount of time on this part, but it's very important because this is what all our residents see, is the actual revenue, how's it hitting me as an individual, okay?
I have a document that shows the debt going out to 2043.
And it does.
Okay.
But it drops off considerably from today it's $681,000 a year.
Right,
It's gonna drop off in 2033
to 610.
to 610, and then it drops down to 500,
502.
then it drops to 300, and then 200, 100, and then nothing.
Not till 2040 though.
But again, look at what it is when does it drop below 200,000?
2040.
Okay, below 300.
2038.
Bingo. So now you're half in 2038 of what you are
I
today.
know, I know.
And you're not gonna replace it, because it's a 50-year system that we just put
Right,
in.
we understand.
So
Okay.
anyway, okay, so in this model, just so you know, every one of the department's expenses are in this same kind of format. So if you were to take the admin, you could go through and say, oh, here's every line item that's in Cassell, here's our 2.5%, or if it's highlighted in yellow, it's a different assumption, because there's unique items out there, especially on the general fund side. But then you'll be able to see where it's being spent and the timing, okay, in the exact month going across. And that's how the budget is rolled up by department, by line item expense. And there is one item in here, just so everybody knows, let me find it. Oh, come on, don't do that.
I can read that.
That's your water use, that's your water usage, boy.
That's the first one I can see.
You never want to let people see a budget, come on. But here is the salary and wages and payroll. Now, as everybody recalls, we had a significant amount of labor that was allocated to water last year to finish up the water projects. That now has shifted in 2026 in 27 over to roads. So there's $100,000 savings that has come, basically that 115,000 that we're saying is excess, revenue above operating expenses. That's coming from that allocation of labor to roads, mostly, and fringes, benefits and things. So that's really truly, but again, we've recalculated what those allocations are by person, by department.
That was the question. Did you bring any of the other people, did any of the other employees' portions being paid by the water utility increase?
Just with inflation, we put in there a 3% merit.
No, I didn't mean by ads. I mean, we're, one person we were doing, we're splitting 50-50. Have you changed that to 75-25?
Yes, and that's where you've received the benefit of the reduced salary and wages, is because there's more of
It's
that
not just a
allocation.
person,
It's a percentage of a person going more towards roads than what it was last year on water.
that makes more sense.
Okay, and it's just, and literally, they went through every single person and said that he's gonna be more roads this year than last year.
And that changes year to year.
Yes, sir. And that's why we do it this way. I mean, we start, and in the file, there is, again, I haven't been told I can't share it, so unless the mayor yells at me behind closed doors and fires me, please.
I don't think she could do that yet.
I know, but
You're doing a good job.
I am going to give, I share information because the more information you have, the more likely it is that you can share that information with others, okay? Right or wrong, you can put a hole in every one of these assumptions. The only thing I know after 40 years of doing budgets is I've never gotten one right. But I can tell you every assumption I made and what the difference was on what actually happened. So again, having all of that in there, that's important. The key tricky part here is, again, where does our principal and interest payments hit? They hit in these exact months, and those are the exact amounts. So you can see, when we get out here from the first of the year, we only have one payment in the first half of every calendar year.
They start when you end your job, and you always end them in the fall.
Well, these hit in July for some weird reason.
Because
Most
they
of them
carried over from the year before.
from the year before and finished
And
this.
they had just the cleanup to do, and when the cleanup's done, they used to pull the plug.
That's just the way Boyd did it back then.
But here's the interesting, so if you look at it as an excess revenue over expense, if it's negative, that means you're spending more, and where's that spending coming from? All the principal and interest in July. But you can see each month is gonna be different based upon the expenses and the timing of the revenue, okay? And then, so the last thing I wanted to show you, and you can ask all the questions you want, is the capital outlay plan. We are forecasting all of our expenses on this current year's budget for capital to be spent by June 30th, 2026. There are no planned carryovers except for the Prater Canyon delivery line, which we always knew would come in 3-year increments. We knew there was going to be studies up front, then there's going to be actual work done in this next calendar year, and then there's going to be the final work done in 2028. Okay? So with that, these are the brand new capital projects that we are targeting here, right? Because we always target to spend them early in July and August. And here's the Prater Canyon delivery line for 2027 out here at 400,000. So this is the actual spending. This was authorized last year, which has never been shown properly in the budget until we got to last year and said, authorization means I need to keep this in reserve so we have this cash available. We always lost sight of it because we were always looking at it from a spending standpoint. So in this case, you'll see the actual spending, and when we get down to the water fund cash balance, this shows you we're going to go from about 1.2 million. Now remember, you've got a lot more than this today because we haven't paid for all the residential meters, and there's a couple other items in there that are going to be spent between now and June 30th. But that number, so I think it's like $1.8 million, if I'm clear in my head. So because the meters are $500,000 just then, the residential meters. So again, we believe we're going to be at about 1.2 million, dropping down to about $1 million by the end of the year. Okay, in cash. So this is where it'll be very important to be able to see if we really do spend this money out here. I hate to forecast anything, but that's probably where we'll need to increase rates next year.
Yeah, probably so.
But again, having a plan that says this is why we're doing it, it's easy to tell people that. Because we can't drop it below the sinking fund of $500,000, but I don't want to drop it below 1.1, which covers our P&I and our sinking fund.
Does this reflect what Rue had just said, that we're gonna slow down on putting in the residential meters?
We still have to pay for them,
Right.
and they're going to give us another 125, whether we install them or not, in June, which we will pay. So the payment, the cash out the door, should happen before June 30th.
Before, yeah, so
But
you're gonna buy this.
it'll take a little longer to get them installed, it
Installed,
sounds like, from the
right.
latest plan. Okay, but that doesn't stop the cash.
But does that impact that 100,000 of that person that's moving the roads?
That's above my pay grade.
Saying
Yeah.
that he's gonna
A
work
good
on,
question.
Well, is that, no,
saying
we
that
just
he's gonna
said,
work on water as opposed to roads?
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
we just said that wasn't a person, though. We said that was pieces of.
It's
very-
pieces of people.
People,
So
right.
it's
Now,
pieces
there
of
may be
people. So-
one piece of a guy that.
But again, they're doing it so quickly and efficiently, I think if it's one extra month, it's gonna be only a partial day
Except-
here and a partial day there.
Except with the meters in backwards.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's okay.
I'm sure, well, I'm not, anyway. All right, but these are the projects for this year we're looking at. Again, there were a couple other that we had that were, these are the high priority projects.
Sure.
And we're just going with them, yes.
Did Ryan address when the transfer pumps would need to be replaced?
In his master plan?
The transfer pumps, I'm not a water
Are
guy.
you talking about the Green Canyon?
So
booster
we
station
do have
pumps?
these
Those are
pumps
in
for
there.
the well
Are
house.
they on
The
there?
well
Yeah.
house.
That's not.
These
them.
pumps.
That's not them?
And then we have the Green Canyon
We'd have to
pumps
look at the
and motors.
plan.
Green
Okay,
Canyon,
yes.
the pumps are
Yeah.
not.
That's what
But
they
we
said.
burned up all
So
three.
you have to be real specific with
Right.
what,
And
We
what
burned
about
up all
the,
three and replaced them
Well-
a couple years ago.
So here's the
They are,
question.
they're brand new.
this is a question. And I'm, again, if somebody were to say, if we had a delivery time of 4 weeks and one went out, if we had one in stock, we would replace it instead of having 3 in stock for backups. It's a question that we have not asked ourselves. Instead of buying all 3 of them, maybe we get a discount, but again, should we, if the lead time to delivery isn't that big of a deal, instead of having 3, maybe we should only have 1.
Yeah, and I think, Lee, I think the problem with the pumps that are over at Green Canyon is that they're obsolete. Like, we can't
Yeah, I don't think so.
resource the parts to keep them going any longer.
Well, they were able to do it when they burned
Right,
them up.
they skeletonized another one that was there, or I don't know how they did it, but they managed to get them back online, but it's a little terrifying knowing that if one goes down, we're not gonna be able to fix
But the
it.
third one is a spare.
Today,
That's
right?
Yeah, it's designed to be a built-in spare.
I think it's a
And so
valid
you're right,
question.
we should not
We can-
worry about all 3 in 1 year.
I will take that as an action item to at least keep it, let's find out.
Yeah.
Let's ask the question and get a good answer, because again, no sense in spending an extra $100,000 if we don't have to. Because that
Absolutely.
difference right there helps me make up,
Sure.
gets me back to where I want to be for my reserve.
Also, you can say the same thing about our wells.
Yeah.
Do we need to have a spare for every well on hand in-house? Because we have proven by a year's use of, we had our biggest well down for a year. And we did not have to have any rationing of water. So the question is, why are we buying all these replacements to sit in the back room in case it goes down? Because if it goes down, and don't get me wrong, but who cares? We have enough to back up our lives, our others. You've got to have 3 wells go out. You've got to have an earthquake, then have the spring go out. And somebody's got to burn up those transfer pumps before we're out of water.
So let me ask,
I say,
let me ask a stupid
just because you
question.
have the money, don't spend it there. We got places you can spend it.
I'm gonna ask a
necessarily.
stupid question. You guys are the water board. I would assume, and that's a bad word, but I would assume that you guys could have that conversation with the town water engineer
Sure.
and say, should we be doing this?
Right.
If not, provide a recommendation.
Right.
Because we're not gonna, I mean,
Totally agree.
that's what I think.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make that same request a second time. Let's get Ryan in this room.
Okay. All right. So needless to say, we've got all these tabs out here. It's all in the model. General fund, there's the water fund. You've just seen it. You've gone through it. We have all the head count and the allocations, along with benefits and payroll taxes and everything that, it's expensive, okay? So, and then we have the capital list. We have a summary of sources and uses in here that the mayor hasn't even seen yet. But
Before you leave that, could I ask one quick question?
sure.
Where are the parts and supplies,
Oh,
In your-
okay, yes.
please?
Let me show you. So when we went through that, see this bucket here or department called Water Fund Administrative Operations?
It's water fund administration. Thank you, that's all.
You got
I
it.
wanted to know.
And you can see all water supply parts, EPA test, lab analysis, water testing, all in there. And remember, the best part of this is you can see what we basically spent the year before, because I'm using the exact timing and the exact amount and just increasing it 2.5%.
No, just so I know where to look.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that's where it's at, okay?
Thank you.
And so let me just show you, so the sources and uses, sorry, this is a busy slide because it's all on one slide, but the water one comes over here. You have the sources of cash and you have your uses of cash, and so you can see it all ties out. And it's basically the capital spend. So here's your 116,000 of excess funds from operations. Okay, this was the first reading, and right now it's exactly the same as the second reading because we haven't made any changes. So that's that 116. Here's the capital spend of 611,000, giving you a total. This is the total source side, okay? And then on the usage side, you're going to have your 605, 611 total capex use, because remember this is coming from reserves as a source, and then down here is your 116,000 coming in as an additional source. Okay? Or use. It's good. So thank you. But again, it's very simple because we don't have a lot of projects, but that money is going into this slide, which is the most important slide to me in this entire exercise. The general fund is one, the general fund and the water fund. Here is your reserve balance detail. Each one of these is a wild class account. And in the wild class account, here is estimated balances, knowing that we're going to spend all that capital money for the residential meters and everything. This is what the best estimate we can give you right now of where we're going to end June 30th, 2026 is 1.8 million. Good memory. I thought it was about 1.8. And then here's your excess coming in 116. Here's your transfers, because we've got to get these balances
Right.
to be properly stated. And then the capital spending, the 611. So again, this is how I look at it. And I would love to have more money over here, right? At least to cover these. I have to have to cover these
those two, right?
There you go. So that's where we are right now with how this is laid out. But again, if I were to send this to you without this explanation, you'd spend 2 minutes on it. There's too much information.
What's Wade's phone number again?
You can get it. You can get it. Because it's all
I'll give it to
here.
you.
It's literally here. You just have to know where to find it.
Right, sure.
Can I just ask you to read the two numbers, I mean, a name and a number? Where is the system reserve?
Right here. System
And what is
reserve.
that- What's your final balance?
20.
Okay, we're using it up. Get down to $28,000.
So you have a $40 million asset, and you're saying that you're doing $28,000 is good enough to cover it?
You're never gonna have $40 million in there, Boyd.
Boyd, you're never going to want to have that reserve on a brand new system.
We can prove to you that we've spent 10
You have
times that on a
You
brand
have
new
spent a
pump.
ton of money in the last 10 years.
Huh?
You've spent a ton of money the last 10 years, but you're not gonna spend that same money.
Oh, no.
We also blew up
I-
number 3 pump that cost us over $100,000.
I'm just saying, yeah, the pump
Yeah,
is a
but we can
great
cover
example.
100 grand.
And it was brand new.
And especially if you increase your rate. Remember, every $2 rate increase, you get 50,000 more. I'm not saying when that happens, we have a trigger.
Yeah. I'm just saying, you're awful skinny
Yes, but remember, you're forgetting, I have 1.3 million, or 1.3 million here. Or two.
Yes.
1.2 million.
I'm with you.
It's not skinny. Because again, every month of the year, I could put some of this money aside.
It's skinny if it
It
stays
is.
that way.
It is, and none of us want it to.
Right.
Yes.
But over time, well, it'll increase.
And this is going to decrease over time.
Right.
And then it's going to be replaced by a major
Right.
new tank.
Right.
So again, I hope this is helpful. Hopefully it's useful for you guys to be able to see it, to walk through it. I am always more than happy to field questions. I know, I'm gonna get shot the arrows at because you think it's mine. But it's not really mine, it's the town, and this is all the history that's gone into building it this way. The assumptions that we've made, you can say it's the town council and mostly Loretta, myself, and Trevor. But the idea is, let's get it on there, and if we need to tweak something, we can.
So you're gonna send it,
I will send it,
To
well,
Steve?
Steve, you have everybody's email.
Right.
I will send it to Steve, he can distribute it out to you
Right,
guys,
right.
okay?
okay.
That's how I do it with the fab and whether it's roads or whoever.
Did Ryan estimate when the Green Canyon tank might be needed as a replacement?
They use 10
It's another
years
10
on
years,
the
right.
ladder.
Because of the liner that we just put in, we're still going with the guaranteed 10 years, so it's not for 10 years.
Okay.
I mean, again, if it's under 10 years, we got different issues. But the point is, it's guaranteed for 10 years.
That's one of the younger tanks
Supposed
too.
to,
if
and
I
there's
remember
nothing
right.
saying we can't do it again.
That-
Can you do that, Dave?
I'm not a water guy, but that would be my first question.
It's
Why
gonna
wouldn't we do it
depend, I
again?
don't know if it's a,
They just
I
lose
don't know
capacity.
exactly what type of liner it is.
Yeah.
But a lot of times they have trouble adhering to.
Right.
We're gonna monitor it through the years, right?
We'll see how it goes.
But again, to try to make a decision today, when we don't have a crystal ball that tells us what it is, that's why this is what it is now. Again, you don't have to agree with it, you can shoot holes in the assumptions, but that's what it's built on, okay? And again, I think and literally, I'm not gonna be doing this forever, okay? Because I'm just a volunteer. The point is, it is here, and it doesn't have to be recreated from scratch. Every year, this same process can be there because that's what we've been trying to put together so that you guys could actually, play with it yourself if you wanted to.
Well, and then coordinating with Ryan and his work, it all fits together.
But the nice thing about this is you don't have to make the same mistake every year. Once you find out you made a wrong
You can
guess,
catch up.
Now you have justification.
it should improve every year in its accuracy,
Oh, absolutely.
theoretically.
Yeah, again, though, every year is gonna have some uniqueness and anomalies that
Weather
you're just not gonna
changes
know
all
about.
the time.
Yep.
And that's just based on doing these things for 4 decades. I don't know what tomorrow's gonna bring.
Just remember one thing, a poor guess is a lot better than no guess at all.
Well, as I always say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So let's plan, and even if it's wrong, at least we can measure ourselves against it. Okay? And again, I hope that we get more tap-ons than 14. I'm just a very conservative guy.
Does anybody put a tap on when they are not gonna build for like 5 years?
No, it's against the rule, it's supposed to be against the rules.
No, a lot of people
Or
are.
you can only get a tap on when you
There's
have a building.
a number of lots that have meters that have
Absolutely.
no house on them.
Yeah,
I'm not a whole lot, maybe a
vacant
dozen.
But today,
I don't know why.
if somebody came in and said, I need a permit to build a new house, right? They only have a certain period of time to finish that.
I know, can they get a tap on without the permit?
I don't think so.
No, it's a good question.
They could in the
Have to-
past. I
The
don't
only
know.
reason why you do that is because you know that rate's gonna go, that fee's gonna go up. And so you wanna get a hedge against it.
That's a good idea. So if I've got an empty lot over here on Solitude Circle, I should go ahead and get.
When I first came to the town, that fee was 5,000. When I finally put it in, it was 7,500. I thought, oh, maybe I should have put it in before.
Back then, yes.
A lot of
If
people
you go
did
back in
because of that.
history, before the town was formed, the association would make a deal every year to get money to run operations by selling taps
Taps.
up ahead of time.
Yeah,
So when we took over, we had a lot of vacant lots with meters in it.
right.
And we tried to convince people, and I thought that we had rules. We had rules when I was there that said, if you don't have a building permit, you
You can't get a
don't,
tap
you don't
on.
get it.
Okay.
Here's the other side of that. Once you get that tap on, you're $68.50.
Right, instead of.
It happens all
So
the
you
time.
have to figure out
Right,
how long
right,
do
what's
I want
the-
to
yeah,
do this.
Right.
We've actually had people ask to take them out,
I'd
so.
say
Oh, wow.
$800 a year, that'd be 10 years worth of tap on fee. Time value of money, I think I'll wait.
Right.
But if you were not charging anything, it made it really lucrative for them
Sure.
to raise money.
True.
Did we
Give me
let-
one of those old
But
meters.
they,
Yeah.
they announced what the fee was, so you know that you could do it.
Did we let
Okay.
anybody take them out?
I want to say we do charge to take them out, so I think we've taken a couple out.
But did they go back to the
$28.50 then?
SAF fee? They
They
probably
must
did.
have, I mean, it would have to be something
There
I
would
have
be
to
no
follow
reason,
up on.
there'd be no reason not to.
Yeah, not to, right, because you don't have a meter.
And to your question earlier, there is a tab in here on long-term debt, P&I, and you can see every year is laid out. And here's the individual debt instruments that we have. Here's what we have today, 681, drops off 621 all the way down. And here is a new tank, 3 million, 30-year, 5%. Here's what it would do, and you can see the extra amount, and it's right there in those 2 years. But the 60,000 would be offsetting that, so it's really,
60, yeah. Okay.
you're.
What year does the WWDC loan go away?
Well, let's see.
Not soon enough, I can see that. It was
Is
a
that the
four-
one you
2044.
authorized?
It was a 40-year deal.
2044 is the
It's the
last.
last one.
Yeah,
Well, if you recall, that was our first one too.
Right.
And
This
we
one-
didn't have
this one
any,
drops off the
and
same.
we didn't have any revenue either.
So again, it's, all the information's there. You can try to figure it out yourself, but it's, anyway, if you're a data junkie, a model junkie, this is what you can do.
Thank you.
So,
Well, Very much.
So if you have any recommendations or comments, please, because again, we're gonna do a second reading here, we've got to be able to publish it next week. So we're gonna be reviewing it again in
Ryan
March.
before we can make a
Right,
recommendation.
you need to talk to Ryan.
Yeah.
Anyway, just
Okay.
FYI.
All
right.
You won't get it until your third reading.
Probably.
Because we can't get Ryan until our next meeting, which will be
Too late.
too late.
We can
Well, whatever
send-
you guys do, just,
You can send an
yeah,
email.
I'm just, we're there to share the information, so my action item is to send this to you, Steve, and you can send it on. Okay?
will you plug that back in?
Yes, sorry,
That's okay.
I don't know how long that took, 45 minutes.
Frank fell asleep.
Thank you, Wade. That was excellent.
That was-
The only question I have is, who's going to maintain this when Wade retires from the council?
Should I tell them the secret? My brother is done being the FAB
Mhm.
chairman, so I told the mayor that because we're going on a mission, I can easily do the FAB chairman role,
So you might shift
and I
back
will
into that.
still do
Yeah.
this
Oh, okay, that works.
after this.
And he's been working hand in hand with Loretta so that
Yes.
she can, you know, because, I mean, ultimately you would want there to be some continuity, right? If we don't have a council person.
I hope
With
I'm
that
more
skill set.
continuous than actually a treasurer or somebody, because you don't know what the career will do, but I'm here until I'm not. Meaning,
A long time away from now.
yes, so anyway, I wouldn't want to leave it to, you know, everybody's gonna see this so many times over again that it should be fairly straightforward as we get down the road. So,
Yep,
anyway, okay, you're welcome.
thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yep, thank you.
We may have Wade in a nursing home still doing the financials.
Still got him
That'd
on
be a
speed
dream
dial.
come true, dream come true.
Okay, we're down to, on our recommendations from the Water Utility Board on the Mountain Estates annexation. We've had a draft on the town website for a number of weeks. Are there any changes to that draft?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Boyd and Lee have submitted an alternate to that.
Is that the one you sent out with the meeting agenda? Okay,
Yeah.
that's the latest.
I'm not sure if everybody's had a chance to review it.
It was sent out last Sunday,
Yeah.
so everybody's had it for a week.
My feeling is it's not quite ready for prime time, that there needs to be some changes. To me, it exhibits a certain amount of bias, which we're not supposed to allow according to state law. So I think we need to address that before we can vote on it.
Okay? I have a presentation I'd like to make.
Okay?
Mayor, do you have that?
I think I can do that. Or try. You did send it to Frank, I think you said, right?
Frank, do you have my slides?
Yeah, I have them. Thank you, Boyd.
Because I think when I do this, we won't be able to, I can't share it on Zoom is the reason why, so you can just tell them what
That's good.
slide you're on.
Yeah. Do you want me over there to do it, or can you just tap it?
I can tap it, yeah.
The last time we didn't really meet, but we had a verbal agreement to release the draft to the town. That was 2 weeks ago, where we unanimously agreed to present that to the council so they had something that they could look at.
But it's still a draft.
And it's still a draft. And we agreed that we would vote on that at our next meeting, which is today. What has happened, however, is during that 2-week period, Lee and I have had the opportunity, I guess it's an opportunity, we've had great debates, we've had great discussions, but we have come up with some ideas that we would like to present to our board in considerations of what's there. So that's what this whole slide deal is. It's at, Mayor, if you'd tap it for me. I'll give you a very brief background, talk about the issues that we came up with, some questions that were raised. We wanted the changes, so we talked a little bit about the changes versus the draft, but at 50,000 feet, no details. This is a draft document, it's a recommendation, and if the words are not as important as the intent behind it, and then we'll have our recommendations. Mayor?
And if we could get from you, Steve, where you think there's some bias. I don't understand
Okay.
where you're.
But a little bit on the background, we've looked at state statutes, we looked at county regs, and we looked at town ordinances. And Mayor, I'm going to talk to you for a minute.
Yeah.
We are not attorneys. That's really the job of our town attorney, is to say, you are compliant or you're not. And so we have really steered ourselves, this recommendation, away from specific ones, except ones that we can read and understand. And that's probably 2 or 3. The town's direction, again, this has to do with public sentiment. Everything we could find in our past mission statements, vision statements, those kind of things, refer to rural country living style. There was one word that was dropped. It used to be called affordable rural country style. And we took the word affordable out. There is a strong, we are detecting a strong desire by several to control the growth that's anticipated. And then also, this has nothing to do with water, but the wastewater piece seems to keep bubbling up. And one of the comments that we discussed, I should say, is regarding the wastewater, is just to bring it up so it's in the public knowledge. And that is, if something goes wrong, wastewater-wise, we're all in this together, meaning with or without annexation, it won't matter a bit. If it's there in that area is going to be there. From a personal standpoint, I'd much rather see the county own half that problem than I would the town own all the problem. Because if we don't have a partner in that on the solving the issue, we'll pay for the whole thing. And I don't mean we, the town, I mean we, the citizens, will end up paying for it. So I just bring that up as a note and as an example of one of the things that we need to be cognizant of is if something goes wrong, and I don't mean to be pessimist, but it could, and we'll all be involved. Mayor, if you'd hit that again.
And perhaps that's especially with the density that would come with the townhomes, because 4 units are on one septic and one drain field. And definitely concerned about that from the density point of view.
We talked about the justification piece of it. And Mayor, we don't have time to go through all this. I'm sorry. But we did look at a couple of items, like the revenue side, and did find one was, it was correct in what was said, but it was incorrect, we believe, in the way it was presented. And that has to do with the personal property taxes. Personal property taxes are 8 mills, and it shows 8 mills. But it isn't 8 mills to the town, because we have a contract, I believe, with the fire department that says every year you will pay me 3 mills of what you get paid. So although it shows 8 mills, it isn't, that's not a fair comparison because it doesn't apply to additional revenue. It's only the 5 mills. That's
For the length of that contract,
for the length of,
with the Mid-Valley Fire contract is
yes.
through
And
the next 8
and
years.
I hope you're successful. And that goes away.
Right.
But right now, it doesn't reflect the true financial revenue to the town.
And there was an issue on the cost side as well, which we thought was understated, or at least I did. The analysis showed $1,000 for every tap as cost to the town, and I have a letter from the town administrator that back in September 29th that said the actual cost to the town was $2,500, which is 2.5 times more than what is in the cost side.
So it's just a couple of references that
And those are all draft revenue and cost
Yeah, but that's
estimates.
what I say.
It's never been finalized.
Yeah.
They were
I understand, but that's all we had to look
Yeah,
at.
and that's what I said, we're just pointing out a couple of them, because we're not gonna take the time to go through it, that's on your side of the house, so. But we just found those, so we brought them up.
Okay, thank you.
So let me talk about the issues for just a minute, and this is called conservatism from my point of view. And that is, we are in a very high growth period right now, and so there's really high optimism as to what can and cannot be done. But there are records of the past where we had a no or a slow growth period. And the market conditions will demand that. There's nobody in this room that can say what it's going to be tomorrow or the next day. But we just need to make darn sure that we are looking out for the town's protection, and that is, when you sign that document and it becomes legal, the town is committed 100% to covering all of the expenses and issues that are associated with this. If it's bad times or good times, the town's expense sheet on that will probably be about the same. And if I look at the commitment from the developer, right now, the commitment is and I didn't realize that came out that way, sorry about that. But the commitment is for vacant land and one fourplex, I think, four-piece plant, four-home, townhome, whatever, however you say. That's the total commitment on their part. If the world went to hell in a handbasket the next day, they're through with their expenses. We're not. And so I only bring this up as an issue is because we've taken an awful lot, or it seems to we've taken a very optimistic outlook on what can be done and what will be done in the future. Next slide, please.
Would,
Yes.
so what are our expenses on vacant land?
No. We have roads to plow over there right now. We
Right.
have water to deliver. If we take it,
But you're talking
Right now.
about 100% commitment when, let's say, only 10% of it is built out. Our commitment is only to that 10%.
It's 100% water
well,
though.
let me give you it a different way. If we build this tank, all construction, and Danny, make sure I'm saying this true, when you do a plan for a new tank, you do it at full build out. You don't do it because you only have one guy hooked up. You build the tank for full build out. Okay. If for some reason, God forbid, this economy goes into hell in a handbasket, we'll put a tank in that has to be replaced to cover 120 additional connections.
True,
And who's gonna pay for it?
but we're also asking the developer to participate in all of our loans, which we would use to build the tank.
They're in the
And
conditions,
there's an impact fee to cover the expansion of the tank.
and that's in the,
So how,
that's in the, I mean, it's in the conditions if they go ahead.
yeah, so how are our expenses greater?
I just
You
told
know,
you
to
so.
me, it seems like when he builds 10 homes, we're committed to provide water to those 10 homes, and the piping is there, and the roads are there. The rest of it is, there's not much expense.
Let me give you an example. Some millionaire comes in and says, I want that northeast corner. I want that lot. And I'll pay you 10 times what it is. That will be the next phase. And there'll be a road from the
Not
county.
unless the town approves it.
Well, no, but I mean, are you gonna turn somebody down? You gonna tell me you can't build a house? That's my concern, is,
It has to be platted, each phase would have to be approved and platted,
Yeah,
right? So that's
but-
great if somebody comes in and says, I want that back 20 acres.
but
No, it's not
plats it,
ready yet.
he plats it, now we have two plats with a road all the way between the two of them.
I mean, and that's saying that would be a big change to the master plan that would have already been approved too,
And Mayor, I'm not saying these things are happening.
right? But
What
you're
I'm
throwing out
saying is
hypotheticals.
I want you all to think about these things because they could happen. And as I said in the previous slide, if they happen, you're holding, we, all of us in this town are holding the expense tag, however much it is. And your guess is probably as good or
Well,
better
you say
than
they
mine.
could happen, but they could happen only with the town's approval. I don't think the town is going to approve something like that.
Well, you gotta, let me give you an example. He's been turned down twice by the other town councils, and he's being courted. Well, was it just me? I thought we turned him down.
I thought there was only one previous annexation.
Well, it may have been a formal one, and maybe one informal, but this will be the second time. And now we've had a council change, which is fine, and now we have a different attitude. What makes you think that when, we could have a brand new, we have 3 new people, right? In January, if it goes this way. If you got 3 new people, you've got 3 different attitudes, 3 different votes, and nothing to stop them. But we do.
Except the huge expense of doing it that way. You know, if they are rational thinkers, they will say, no, that is too costly to the town.
Well, let me give you some more rationale. I'm saying that the town's expenses, whatever they are fixed. They're tied to our required payments, services, and maintenance.
They're fixed for the part that's been developed.
Right.
Yes.
No, and if you have those expenses are greater than your income from those few, then what do?
Well, they're being charged water rates, they're being charged tap fees, those people in that
Yeah?
developer, we're asking them to pay into the assets of the water system and also paying the liabilities of the
We're-
system.
we're
Where
ready.
is the mismatch?
We're recommending that and we're suggesting it if they go that way.
Yeah, that didn't change.
That didn't change. That's just, we almost word for word went that way. I'm just saying,
If you're talking about fixed town expenses, it seems to me that they are proportional to what has been developed.
okay, I can put in there, if it would satisfy you, proportional fixed, or the proportional part of it is fixed.
Mhm.
And so if we end up with a expense, unknown expense that's greater than what we're getting revenue for, we have no way to fix it. I'm just saying that, that's all I'm saying. And the market condition, the unfortunate part is, this isn't the town's problem, it's not the developer's problem, it's the market conditions. That's what kills us, because nobody can judge them.
The
But
market
we've got
makes the rules.
But we've got this beautiful layout of, 4 every other year and 1 or 2 houses every year and things like that. And it's all based out on we're gonna make all these millions of dollars, and we're not going to make it if something happens to the market. And we're making the decision in the marketplace's highest boom we've had. That's all I'm saying. Next slide, please. And this one is no answers. This is just questions. From what we have heard, the citizen opinion seems to be anti-annexation.
Yeah,
There is no proof, one way or the other.
other than all the letters that.
Well, the letters are
put on-
coming in.
Put on the
But
website.
how many letters have come in?
That's all that's come in.
What,
Everything that's on the website is what has come in,
and so,
all 20 of them.
yeah, but that, is that, we talked about the vocal minority? No, yeah.
You mean the silent majority of the ones that don't come to
Yes,
meetings, that
yes.
don't care about the annexation or in favor of it?
So-
I'm just saying that there is another side. They
Yes.
might not be the ones coming to the
But
meetings.
that was
Or
our
writing
problem.
letters.
We couldn't figure out, just because you have 20 people saying it's bad, don't do it. Is that a reason not to do it? No.
Right.
But you need something to
No
say
reason to do it.
to do it.
Yes, understand.
So, we put this up here is, as elected officials, your responsibility is to represent the constituents. But we have no idea what the constituents want to do. There's a lack of official validating, we don't have any.
What do you mean by that?
How many people have told you, how many people do you know what their decision is, yes or no?
Are you talking about on the council?
No.
Just individual
It's
people?
citizens, I'm talking citizens' voices.
I mean, I've talked to lots of people, and I can't give you a number. To me, in my mind, it's about 50-50.
See, and that's would be perfect.
Right.
Because then you would have the ability to do it. So there is, right now, there is no real majority's position that you can defend or I can defend.
But all we can do is read the letters, and they are a
Yes.
way larger majority than a
And
50-50.
Mayor,
Well,
people
I'm
against
not
it.
going to get into numbers and how many
No, I have a
complaints or
solution.
positive
I
comments we've
have a
gotten.
solution for it. People will tell people what they want to hear most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
If they know I'm against it, the people who are against it will tell me. The others kind of avoid me.
Right.
And the same, if I am for it, then 4 people will tell me. So it appears to me that what I'm doing is correct. What I'm saying is, we don't know, nobody knows for sure. I went so far as to go and talk to the county clerk for Lincoln County. I've read the statutes from 2024-201 to 223, and I'll tell you, I still don't know what you can do or can't. So I called the county clerk, and I said, how do I get a referendum on the ballot? She says, what for? I said, to ask the people to vote yes or no, just to find out. She says, absolutely not. And she was really quick. As I talked to her, She said that there had been a problem up in Alpine just late last year where somebody wanted to do that. And the state statutes say, if you read some column, and you're an attorney and you know how to read it, says that you cannot put things on the ballot that have to do with town, on a county or a state ballot, that have to do with town legislation. You cannot legislate, people cannot legislate on a ballot, so you can't put it on. So we can't even do that. But you can run the town questionnaire, do it. You probably get anywhere from 15 to 30% people responding to it. Again, it's better than the hearsay we keep having.
Well, I'm a bit baffled by this, Boyd, quite frankly. Every day, I talk to residents, we get feedback, we hold meetings.
Yeah?
I hear on both sides, for and against. We are never going to get a definitive answer on what every person in this town thinks about the annexation. It's going to be up to the council to decide ultimately what we do. And sending out an email questionnaire, I don't see what that provides, quite frankly.
It was just a way to make it more neutral. So it's not I hear and you heard, you know, I say something.
Why is everybody doing that?
Why not?
I mean,
People are
no, I
very-
know.
people
That's
are-
like the worst thing that can happen when
It's-
the rumors and he said, she said, and people don't do their homework and they don't come to meetings and they don't read all the documents on the website.
Oh, I can.
But I
agree with you.
understand that, you know that, you were the mayor.
I know that for 100%.
But nevertheless.
But public opinion does count.
It does,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm not trying to discount
They're the
that at all.
boss.
I'm just saying that there's public opinion on both sides of this issue, period.
Let
So
me
where,
make
where are we going with this?
Where-
Let me
the
make a
public will
comment
make-
on this, please.
Huh?
I'm going to read from state law about water systems, because we are a public utility. We are required to be impartial. It says it shall be unlawful for any public utility to make or permit to exist any unjust discrimination or undue preference with respects to its services, facilities, or service regulations.
And
We are
I
an
agree 100%.
advisory board, and I don't think it's appropriate that we make our advice conditioned upon public opinion. We either have good data, good advice for the town council, they can respond to public opinion, they are the elected officials. But our advice should be sound based on what we think is correct and how to go forward on this.
Okay.
And so I don't think public opinion should change our advice. I think that means our advice is not very sound.
But we can't ignore it. You
Well,
want to
like the
ignore
mayor
it?
said, it's gonna go this way, that way. You know, we either decide that this is good advice or it's not good advice.
Where the public will decide this will be at the ballot box in November.
That's right.
Well, I understand that.
That's what's gonna happen, one way or the other.
So this is one of those areas where I think, you know, we've allowed bias to enter into this, is we're having, you know, what we hear here, there, instead of saying, when we walk into this room, we need to be impartial. This is what we would offer any developer that walked through the door.
But I would offer every developer to walk through that door that same opinion. And that is, don't put us at a bigger risk than you're willing to take yourself. Don't put us at a disadvantage on financing versus you. And those are facts, not opinion.
Well, certainly we need to protect the town.
Yeah, that's the whole idea.
Yeah.
And the mayor. I keep saying I want to protect the mayor too.
I mean, the goal here is to be fair. And hopefully it can be win-win, because if somebody loses,
I'll
I
go to
think,
the next slide then, because obviously, let me get to the end. And by the way, Steve, I thought you had this for a whole week. This is the first time you and I had a discussion about it. I'm not aware of your feelings ahead of time. The changes, the recommendation that we have, the draft that we turned in didn't say really yes or no, it kind of said, our assumptions with, if you do the annexation, is here are the conditions. We kind of, in between, and then a small letter said maybe we should deny it or that, but really, it basically was built around, if you do it, here's what our recommendations should be. And what I've tried to do in this new one was to say, let's be very clear. Do we recommend it or do we not? And then, if the council accepts our recommendation, then deny it. If they don't accept it, then here are some suggestions. And by the way, those suggestions are the same as the ones we had in the initial, with a couple of caveats. One is we eliminated the agreement with Ryan, except where there was a conflict. That didn't change anything, we just took it out. But there is a new one in there, and the new one is to totally reject the well. It's just not feasible for us to consider that as a town. It has no use to the town in its current condition, and for everything I've been able to read, it says you're better off drilling a new one than you are trying to convert one that doesn't provide the volumes and the
capacity,
wellhead protection, yeah.
And the wellhead protection.
So those are the recommendations.
I thought there was one more. You didn't want the bulk water sale option.
I took that out
Right,
because that confuses it.
right. I mean, we have a bulk water sale option in here. You don't
And it
want
doesn't
that.
have it there. Yeah, you're correct, and I'm sorry I didn't.
That's true.
But it didn't seem to affect it one way or the
It
other.
obviously could be pursued at a later date.
But anyway, that was our recommendation.
I think it's clear to say we deny it instead of saying we'll approve it if these conditions are met.
Yes.
That was kind of what we wanted to say.
So,
Because it's your decision, it's our recommendation.
Right, and I guess I'll point to the planning commission put together their findings, right? The termination of findings document, and in it, they had 20 conditions, and they recommended approval contingent on those 20 conditions, because
Sure.
they're a recommending body, just like you are as well. So I guess that's what my expectation as the mayor, and when the planning commission asked if the water board could provide, some feedback on the water part of this, that's kind of what I thought we were gonna end up with in the memo. So I'm a bit confused now.
Well,
But it
the
seems-
memo is still there, Mayor, if you decide to go with it.
it's so easy to gloss over the conditions because you say, we approve it with these conditions. And we felt that we needed to get up in front something that would give you pause, rather than consider them as afterthoughts.
Well, I guess, again, from the planning commission perspective, those recommendations from the planning commission are gonna be, those 20 items, the council is gonna go through those and say, yes, we want all of these in the annexation agreement, or no, we don't want number 10, or it's gonna be the council's decision on what to incorporate on an annexation, in an annexation agreement. And again, my expectation was we would, from the earlier drafts of this memo that I saw, we would have a similar set of conditions, recommendations, that the council would then be able to winnow through and go, yes, we want to include this or not.
Page 2 has all those conditions on it.
So,
But we
and I-
made a recommend,
On the new
We
one.
deny that here are the conditions that would, have you think about annexation. So our recommendation is no thanks, but if you're gonna move forward, here are the conditions that you should consider.
then my question is, why would we make the recommendation to deny and not make the recommendation that should they not follow these conditions that we've set forward, then we would deny. We don't our recommendation isn't just outright denial.
Sure.
It's,
Right.
here's the steps for this to be a successful annexation that is successful for us and for, that we feel merits the annexation,
That's
not
another
just
area where I think
outright
there's,
denial.
I think there's
Well,
bias.
That was my
there.
issue with it, was an outright denial where
Well, what I was
We
concerned
just
about,
recommend.
when
That's right.
When we're looking at this, though, The annexation is for vacant land. And you say, well, we won't approve it. Well, you're gonna approve something sooner or later. And why don't we do the process in the right steps? Why don't we have a master plan? The county required one. They wouldn't do anything without a master plan. And we're gonna say, no, we'll decide that later.
Well, I think
But the
that's
mayor,
in the-
who's gonna
But
make
that's
that
our-
decision?
Isn't that in the planning commission's recommendations?
Yeah, but they don't have to do it. Come on, none of this is all draft. This is all draft.
Sure, the town council
you
can throw it
talk
all
about-
like, throw it out like baby with bathwater.
Yeah,
Just do
but-
whatever
but
the
I
hell we
mean,
want.
You can throw ours out too.
Steve, you talk a lot about bias, but if you read the administrator's analysis, if you will, of this annexation, he specifically, I assume it's our town administrator, comes out and says, annexation is a good deal for the town.
He's never
So-
made that statement.
Oh, yes, he did.
He read a
On
staff
the
report.
administrator's report.
Oh, the
He
staff.
read the staff report and said at the end of it that based on the fact that it meets all these statutory requirements, they would recommend approval of an annexation. It's not his decision to make or anybody on the staff's decision to make.
No, but that's a biased statement, and so
I
the
feel like,
boards are
but Lee,
reacting.
I feel like what you and Boyd, quite frankly, are doing now is biased, so I would concur with you, Steve. And I'm sorry, I'm
But
just the
what-
council
but I need to
liaison,
understand
so.
why you think I'm biased.
Well, you're supposed to be a recommending board, and I think the way Dan just put it with, we would recommend approval contingent on these conditions. Otherwise, we recommend that the town council would
But your
deny it.
decision is to, I'm my understanding, maybe I'll ask you what your decision is. My understanding is your decision is to annex vacant land with some conditions.
That's what the process would be, because it's the
Why
master plan
don't
is
we
not
have
approved.
that, why don't we say have these conditions completed and then come back to us with those things completed and we will annex you?
Because we have to give her the conditions that we want to see. They don't have all of the conditions.
No,
That's
but
what
you-
our recommendation is
But you
for.
can say, we deny it, and here's the reasons why, and these are all the conditions. And when you come back and have those done, we will then approve it.
And I
That's the-
can't tell you right now if that, maybe it'll end up there. I don't know,
Well,
because I
no,
don't know what the council is going to do.
You
Absolutely.
could say certain conditions have to be done at the time of annexation. Others can be
Prior
done.
to-
Which is
Yeah.
what we've done. You know, we've got the
And the
rezoning.
annexation agreement would clearly lay that
That's
out.
rezoning, but that's not
Yeah.
planning.
Oh, I know. I understand, but
Let me give you some of my reasons, maybe that'll help. I have never in my life seen a county that was more restrictive than a town. You get more restrictive the closer you get to the situation. You have state statutes, and then the county
Regs.
pulls them in a bit. Then we pull it in a bit. Right now, the county is demanding far more things be done, completed, and finished than we are. We're saying, well, just take it out of vacant land, no problem, and we'll work it out as we get there. That really makes me nervous, because I don't know who's gonna be making these decisions. If our council is the same, I have a good idea how we will do it. But if this council changes 3 people out and 3 people in, we have no idea.
Gotta roll the dice.
And that's what I'm willing to do for the town. I think the town should be ultra conservative.
Please understand,
And
the last
I'm debating with you, Mayor. I'm
4
not
months,
arguing.
5 months, we have chewed this thing up, down, left, right, and sideways. And I guarantee you that the council is going to make a decision that is going to be in the best interest of the town.
But I agree with what you're saying, but it's based on whose set of criteria is the best. And that's what we're trying to do, is give you some alternatives that you think about and debate about before you make that decision. Because if nobody opposes this, it's a slam dunk.
If no one opposes it, what do
Now,
you mean?
who's opposing it?
No board opposes it? That's kind of what you're implying
I
now.
am.
And
No,
then, but again,
no recommendations come to you to not do it. No one has said don't do it.
You gotta follow the statute, you know
No,
that,
no,
right?
no, I'm just talking about advice to the council. Your job is to follow the the law. Our
Right.
ours is to give you advice. But all of your boards have been unanimous in their
No, see,
recommendations.
and that's incorrect right there, because
Okay, who-
the only boards that we've even asked for something in writing have been this board and the planning commission.
Oh,
And this
okay.
board was asked for a recommendation because the planning commission asked for it.
I didn't even understand.
Yeah, there's
I
been no
understood that
recommendation
all
from the
boards were
finance.
supposed to
No.
give you input.
That's not even in our ordinances.
See, no, well, it isn't in the ordinance, but it makes
It's the
sense if
planning
you want.
commission's purview, that is in the ordinance to make a recommendation.
I
And they
understand.
reached out to
Okay,
us.
if we're talking about the county recommendations, I can't recall that any of them involved water.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
that's,
Yeah, they did.
Yes.
that's the part
That's
that.
the part that we've lost track of.
So let's bring the
Yes.
conversation back to our responsibility, which is to address water and not worry about what the county recommended and whether or not the
I
council
was
is
just
going to
trying to give
follow.
you where I was coming from, and why would we not require everything that the county said plus something?
Well, that's a question for the council.
That's the reason I was interested.
Yeah.
Why
But,
wouldn't the council inquire of the road board as to a recommendation?
Boy, sorry, Lee, we're following what our procedures are in the ordinances, that's why. And we have gotten feedback from the chairman of the roads board. He was invited to a planning commission meeting, and he gave an opinion from the roads board about the annexation.
Yeah.
So we just didn't ask for it in writing.
So any more?
That's again,
Are there any other changes that are suggested to the draft annexation, or water utility board recommendations? We have a motion to approve the draft recommendations as they stand, and,
You're talking about the April 7th ones?
yes.
Or the ones that voided? No, I'm not voting, I just clarified.
Just talking about the April 7th ones.
Oh, okay.
The ones that we have.
Yes, once you have copies of it. I believe they are sound recommendations. And if we want to go a different direction in the future, I'm sure there's time to do it.
I would bring up one comment, and that was that in the appendix,
Mhm.
you did not have a rate that was consistent with our ratepayers.
Okay, you're talking about the SAF.
Yes,
That's because we are using those rates under the cost payment ordinance and trying to stay away from a service availability fee where, the ordinance on uniformity also says for equal service. And vacant land does not have an equal service with what's in the town.
what's the
So I don't-
difference? What's the difference?
Yeah.
There's no water in front of their lot, there's no road in front of their lot, there's no utilities in front of their lot. That's vacant land
No, but when you plat it, we will put it there.
in phases. When the
That's-
phase is
that's the
completed,
issue, is the
when the
phases.
phase is completed, then we will start charging
And
the
you're gonna
SAF.
charge them less than you are for a platted vacant lot.
Because we are using loan repayment amount under the cost payment. We're not even considering using SAF until they have an equal service.
And if you don't have service and we put something in there for infrastructure, they shouldn't pay for it. Their portion of the infrastructure.
What infrastructure are you gonna put in?
According to the ordinance, it says loan repayment and infrastructure costs. And that's the reason we're so adamant that they be equal.
We can certainly make the loan payments into loan payment infrastructure costs and make it equal to SAF, but we're not gonna call it SAF.
That's what
There's
we
nothing
did.
in there that says it was SAF. We said that you use the SFA rate to multiply it, so that they are consistent and both parties have equal charge for it. And having the water in front of your lot we've had lots here for years that there was not a road. It was a cul-de-sac, no road, no water, no nothing, and they paid the vacant lot fee.
Yes,
We could make it equal.
that's what we did.
So that would be a change that I would recommend.
Okay.
And in addition, your calculation for impact fee and plant buy-in was calculated based on the number of lots in the master plan, which wasn't vacant land. It's platted.
Yeah, everything is
And
calculated.
so-
But do we have it or don't we have it?
Everything is calculated
So
based upon.
That's what we use it as a platted land in one case, and yet you want to change it and say it's vacant
Well,
land.
platted land is
And
different.
only this phase is all you're gonna charge upon.
Platted land is on paper. We're talking about whether it's a build-ready lot or a not build-ready lot. By having
But
water.
you're charging
service.
impact fee based on regardless.
Steve,
Well,
I
it's-
can guarantee you that if there's a house being built,
Mhm.
there'll be water available to that house before it's done.
Sure.
Because this guy here will make damn sure it happens. So it is available. It just happened to be in front of your house, happens to be in front of my house.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean I pay more or less. Because it's available. It says it's
We could
available.
make it equal to SAF. It's just, right now, it's based on liabilities.
Yeah.
It seemed the logical way that we buy into the asset, we help pay for the liabilities, and pay an impact fee. Those are the three things.
Okay, you're looking at the being equal for the developer. I'm looking at it being equal for all those lot players out there, lot payers out there. And if they sit there and again, it won't be based on facts, but it'll be based on their emotions and their perception is that there's a deal being made because he's not paying the same as everybody else. Because a vacant lot, unless you get legal, unless you know enough about planning and things like that, a vacant lot is a vacant lot. And you have access to, you will have access to our water. That's all I'm saying.
Well, we can make it based on SAF.
But that doesn't change my opinion that we should recommend denial.
Well,
Because I just see the town putting up far more risk than the developer is, and that should be closer to each other. When you're putting 5 to 10% commitment, and we're putting 100% commitment.
that's the nature of the marketplace.
Oh, no,
I mean,
come on. You're as bad as I am.
well, what do you expect them to put up 60 homes and wait 20 years for some of them to sell?
No, I don't expect that. But I do expect the land to be platted.
And infrastructure
Well,
put
And the
in.
council who is saying, let's annex this, know what they're annexing. I'm
That's already a planning commission recommendation.
sure, let them do it, but that doesn't mean we have to agree. If,
I thought you just said that you wanted it platted.
I want it platted,
Yeah.
Yes.
and that's their recommendation. But when? When are you gonna do it?
Because you keep talking about phases, that you're only gonna plat this phase one and
It'll be
then
40 years before we get the
up to
last
phase
plat,
20.
the last phase platted.
Well, doesn't the planning commission recommend that you plat the entire?
We wanted to see, or I believe there's a recommendation in there for a master plan, right? And then plats by phase.
Yeah.
And
It's
what?
ascendant, and then plats by phase.
Yeah.
Yeah, plat by phase. See, that's the problem.
But it's,
But
you
if-
still have a master
But if you
plan.
have a master plan, that's enough to do it.
But
Yeah.
you're calculating impact fees and buy-in fees based on it being fully platted.
Based on the master
From
plan.
day one,
On the master plan, yeah.
from day one.
Yep.
And so you can't have it both ways, that you say we'll only plat phase one, and then we'll plat phase two. It's gotta be platted from the beginning and the infrastructure in, meaning all the water lines, fire hydrants, because a fire can start there just as easy in a vacant lot as it can, especially with construction going on, that would go right up the mountain and burn all of Star Valley Ranch. So there's infrastructure that needs to be put in place, and roads. So you make sure you put the water lines on the roads, not helter-skelter through the development. So that's why we're saying with this plan right now, I can't approve that, saying that you're only gonna do one little phase and then two little phase and a little bit at a time. So that's why we're saying we think you ought to deny it. And if the town council chooses to go forward, then all of those requirements come into play. It's very simple.
If you buy a home, and I talk from experience, because I bought 14 homes and I've lived in 9 states. So I'm well aware of homeowners associations, platted lands and non-platted lands and things like that, from a personal standpoint. You want to know what's going in next to you. And if you have a master plan, and I'm glad to hear that you're requiring that, you have some idea on what you're doing. So you're not just approving, annexing vacant land then. Your plan would be to annex a piece of property that has a master plan on it that has to be changed.
The process that as I understand it, is that the annexation itself annexes the property, the land.
Okay?
Along with that, we would have an annexation agreement that would spell out within, I don't know, 60 days, 30 days, we need a master plan. And then we will go with subdivision development agreements for each phase of the development. And yes, we would like to sit down, if we get that far, with the developer. We know there are gonna be things that are in the master plan that he has with the county right now that are gonna have to change. For instance, the well and the wellhead protection area. If the well has to be moved, that's a change on the master plan. There's also where the proposed road would come in on Vista West. We might wanna look and see if there's a place to move that, since it comes out in front of a particular property owner's property, and if it moves a little bit east, that wouldn't, be a detriment to that property. So there are things like that that we think we, as a town, would have the ability to discuss and negotiate as the development would go forward.
But the well does not need to be changed if the subdivision is being supplied by the town. You cap it and call it a day.
Well, I think that would all be part of the annexation agreement as well. We've already talked with the developer, and I think it's in the planning commission's recommendation too, that either you have to adjudicate and resolve the wellhead protection issue, or you have to cap and drill a new well, because
Why would they have to drill a new well?
because we would like to
supplying
have more
water.
sources for the town. Ultimately, that would be a good thing for the town, would it not?
Mayor, maybe not.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go with the recommendation of the
not.
town engineer, okay? And based on the town engineer's recommendation, the current well is not fully developed. Got it. Doesn't pump 205 gallons a minute, but it has the potential to, and it would be evaluated to see if it would be a good asset for the town before any next step would be taken.
Who said
Plus, the
it
town
has the
doesn't even own
potential
it.
to?
It hasn't
It's only
even,
7 inches down at the last 60 feet.
I'm sorry, what?
It's only 7 inches in diameter down at the last 60 feet.
And this is from, I'm not sure where you're getting the information from.
From the Sunrise engineering report.
Okay. I believe in that report too, it also says that that well has the capacity to be developed up to the rate of supply that was recommended. It might not be pumping at that right now, but,
It's only permitted for 150.
right now, because it's not fully developed yet.
Well, Mayor, I really wish you would allow the some of us to question the engineer about the need for additional water for this town. You have enough water that was required for full build-up. That means you got 40% overlap just today in water. That, all the calculations we've used, and we're still going right back to the bad information, but based on bad information, you have more than a 10% fluff area in requirements for water for peak days.
Sure.
And so why in the world would we give somebody a credit for something that we don't need?
But I find that statement surprising, because one of the things I've heard over and over again from residents is that our current water system was built to supply the town as it currently is at full build-out.
Yes.
So if we add 120 more lots, oh no, we won't have enough water. Now you're telling me, but there's enough fluff in there to
No, no.
cover everybody else, and we don't need new sources of supply or storage or distribution
Let me
system.
restate that. Today you don't need it. We don't need that well for at least 40 years, and then we may need it. So why would you, I couldn't.
Why wouldn't the town want to have a new water source? Why wouldn't we?
Why?
Because it's
Just
a
don't
it's
spend
not a
your-
municipal well.
Not yet.
It's a
It could-
private system
It could
well.
potentially be. But anyway, we don't even know if the well is viable. So I don't want to get down a rabbit hole any further on the well than
But I want you
our
to-
currently
I
got.
want you to think something.
Wait,
Would you rather have a well or a tank? In the
Probably
next
both.
in the next 10 years?
Well, we know we're going to need a tank in the next 10 years.
There's my answer.
Mm-hmm.
So why spend money on something you don't need today and probably won't need for 30 to 40, 50
But
years?
the town wouldn't be spending money if you're talking about on the well.
Oh, you are, because you're gonna give him a credit for it. Otherwise, he gives us money.
But before,
He has an impact fee that says, we will reduce this impact fee if you give us a well.
And that, yes, and then there's also calculated that if the well isn't part of the equation, what that fee is going to be as well. So
And
we
that's
have
what-
the
that's what I'm
information
saying.
from the council to decide
Don't
that.
take the well, take the money.
Okay, I don't think we're gonna
No.
get to a
I don't
vote
think you're going to
today.
get to a vote on your memo tonight.
So,
I move that the Water Utility Board's recommendation to Star Valley Ranch Council is to use the modified recommendation document to deny the Mountain Estates annexation petition.
I'll second it.
it's been moved and seconded that we accept the recommendations put forth by members Sidaway and Hanson to deny the recommendation,
No, to deny annexation.
deny the annexation. All in favor?
Aye.
I,
All opposed? Aye. There's the recommendation.
So, and I haven't seen this one you're talking about.
Well, it's basically,
We sent it to Steve.
And I mean, I'm just going to say for the record, I don't believe that this is not what the planning commission was looking for out of this board.
I think there's a way that it can be,
denying till.
because if they, you can not accept their recommendation to deny.
Right.
You can look at the conditions that are associated with the denial if you don't, and put those within your discussion points and add that to conditions for annexation. So I think there's a way to do it. It's just, it's not the prettiest, but I think there's a way to do it, and you guys will have to talk about it. I do have a question about the effective date of the annexation.
I'm sorry?
I do have a question
Yes.
about what you're thinking about with respect to the effective date of the annexation. Is it gonna be under the annexation agreement? Is it gonna be effective when all the conditions are done, then the annexation takes place? Or is it gonna be annexation and then do all the conditions? If some of them don't, then it's gonna be de-annexed, or what, how does that happen?
So it's gonna be contingent on what we work out in the annexation agreement.
Right?
As to what would need to be done right away versus, what might be associated with a subsequent phase.
Okay, so some of them are gonna, so the effective date would then be after some of those are completed.
Well, I mean, my understanding technically is that after, if we get to the reading of an annexation ordinance, after we've read it 3 times, it will be annexed. But we would not annex, in my opinion, we would not get to that 3rd reading with a thumbs up vote if we don't have an annexation agreement that would codify what needs to happen right away versus what
Okay,
needs to
all right,
happen in the future. So that's my understanding, and from our special counsel, that's how
I
it's
mean,
laid out.
I'm just nervous that there's no way to get out of it if something that's big
Right.
does not get
Well,
done.
I believe yes, because if we don't get things resolved in a satisfactory manner with the annexation agreement prior to the 3rd reading, that to me is an exit ramp.
Right,
If
okay.
council doesn't go forward with it.
Right,
But there
okay.
is some time to still work through
Okay.
trying
All
to
right.
take all these conditions and recommendations and fold them into some document everybody would be willing to sign up to.
Okay, all right.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Second. Been moved and second that we adjourn the meeting.
Exhausted.
All in favor? Aye.
Thanks, Frank. See you later.
With